Hello, everyone. Welcome back to another episode of the RomaPress podcast. We hope you are doing very, very well. Oh, thank goodness is all I can say. I, I and you, Andy, were both prepared to come on here and have a full. You can't see, but our funeral attire is sitting to the right of each
Oh,
of us.
let me
I
just
was
let me just
fully
preface
prepared.
this. Regardless of the outcome today, I was gonna have a glass of wine as we record. I don't care.
Well, everyone. Well, hold on. What kind are we drinking there? What are we
Spanish
working with?
wine
Because I
uh, from 2018. I just assumed that if it's
oh
Spanish
that
wine, if it's 2018, we're on the
That was a
safe
good
way.
year, yes.
Before
Good year
COVID,
for the
man.
wine in Spain, yeah. Alright, so Roma, they defeat Frosinone 2-0. Very quickly, though, before we get into all of that, of course, a thank you to our newest patron over at Patreon, Cesar Vargas. Cesar, thank you so much for your support. And, of course, to all of our other wonderful patrons who make this possible. If you would like to join the chaos, suffer with others during these matches, you can go to patreon.com/RomaPress. Early access, extra episodes, a bunch of other things that we put out as well. Again, patreon.com/RomaPress. And of course, thank you again to all of our other wonderful patrons who allow us to do all of this. And if not Patreon, at least go to youtube.com/ISRomaPress. Subscribe there. As you are well aware of now, we are doing this video version of the podcast. So again, youtube.com/ISRomaPress. Should I? You have to do the thing where you say like, subscribe, and all that stuff, but that is like white noise to people, isn't it? I mean,
I
nobody.
think I think it's just it works when you're doing it directly. So
Okay,
and
should I
also
like?
I wanted to once again correct you, Jen, because this is YouTube, so they do it. So it's not. It's
Oh,
youtube.com/ at
at
I Roma Press.
they
They
make you
for
put that.
goddamn
Yeah,
it's so stupid.
uh, it is extremely stupid, almost as stupid as something that we did with Twitter. They removed the blue check mark that
Just
technically
because
we
we
don't
changed
pay
the
for
logo.
because we changed the logo to make it just so there's two colors in the logo. It just when I see stupid things like this, it just amazes me that some of these people are the wealthiest in the world. But who knows? Okay, so Roma win. We were obviously prepared because we are both consuming beverages. I am also drinking some wine. I was petrified from kickoff pretty much until 84th minute after Lorenzo Pellegrini scored that goal because Roma, we all know Roma, even after the goal, even after I thought in the second half there were high moments, low moments where they were controlling the match. I despised between like 65 to 80. They were far too careless with the ball. I was getting very frustrated. Bove had a couple of very silly turnovers. Paredes had a couple as well. Pellegrini had the bad one. They were not controlling the midfield, but I am just going to reiterate what I said prior to this game, and I'm going to remain steadfast in my belief that it didn't matter how you won. Aesthetics today, into the bin. Didn't matter. I did not care what it looked like. I don't care if it was technically astute. I don't care if they shithoused their way to a victory. You needed 3 points. That was the only thing that mattered. That was it. That's it. If it was 1-0, if it was 2-1, if it was 7-6, I would have been fine with it. You had to get a victory because you were in that. Because if you are unsure if Roma are ever in the moment where just things are happening, the ambiente is going full force, okay? Just go back to the questions asked in the pre-match press conference, and it's a dead giveaway, okay? A dead giveaway. What are the hits? Are you worried about your job status? Why aren't the players responding? Have you thought about going into retiro? All the hits, all the gems, all of the good ones if you can pick out one or two of those, you know what kind of moment that they were in. Of course, Jose Mourinho gets asked about his future. Would you sign a contract with Newell right now? I mean, first off, if we want to go and look who asked that question, I don't want to say anything. But what a time to ask that. What a time. It's one of those provocative questions. Anyway, I could go down this path for a very long time. So to avoid doing that, I will again just reiterate today only 3 points matter to me. Now, others may have wanted something like against Empoli. They wanted to win 7-0. They would have been worried if Roma did not win by at least 4. If Dybala, Lukaku, Pellegrini, if all three of them did not score at least twice, it's a disaster. If you don't get the clean sheet, disaster. For me, it was just very simple. Winning is the easiest and most straightforward band-aid. It's the easiest cure to find when you are in these moments that are just crap. It's a crap moment. We can talk about do this, get a new player, try this formation, try blah blah. You get 3 points and very little else. Everything around just kind of on its own, it tends to become less loud. Everything becomes more quiet. Today, I think all that was needed was a victory because you were in this horrible moment and you just needed that self-assurance, that reassurance to yourself. And you know what? I didn't think it was fantastic today. I don't think it was bad. This was just one of those games where, kind of like I told you, where I look for them when after Juve does a match like they do against Empoli, they might follow that up with, yes, a victory, but not the most aesthetically pleasing or
No,
dominating.
today they drew against Atalanta in what is
Right.
perhaps one of the most boring games one could
Well,
ever.
it was extremely boring, but it just, even in the difficult moments where they know they're going through something, still managed to find a way to get it done. That was all I cared about. I don't know what side you were on, but I saw some coming into this. Well, if you don't beat Frosinone by at least 3 or 4, what does that say about Roma? This is such a small team. You say, well, Di Francesco just promoted, blah blah blah. Just they needed to win. It didn't matter how, in my opinion. You won 2-0. Pellegrini. I think of all people who needed a goal, I am hard pressed to think of guys more than him. Dybala was fantastic. I mean, the the delivery on that goal to Pellegrini was about as a pinpoint accurate as you could get. I mean, you could not have walked it over to him and have been as accurate as that delivery was. Lukaku gets his goal. Dybala gets 2 assists. Pellegrini gets a goal. You get a clean sheet. That can still happen. Rui Patricio is capable of not conceding a goal from 75 yards out, kicked by your Nona. So, are we going to come on here and complain? Let's be serious. There's nothing to complain about today. You got a clean sheet. You got a victory. Your captain scored a goal. Lukaku scored. Lukaku got another goal again. Dybala, 2 assists. Okay, let's move on. We're not going to sit here and complain
Absolutely.
unless. I fear what the Patron group chat says. I'm sure there are
The major group
complaints.
chat is on fire. Somebody, I asked people, can we behave like human beings for once after the match,
Oof,
just because of
oof.
reaction that we were seeing, and and one of the patrons just replied, "That's not the Roma way." So I think that speaks
It's
to.
true.
I think that is definitely true, and it speaks to just it just shows
Humanity in general.
it shows, but also it just shows the moment that we're in, where it's so tense and it's so uh
But they
this
are
was a
tense all the
must win.
time anyway.
Yeah, but this was I don't know, I mean, the
Tonight,
implication.
it was a must-win tonight, and it sounds so weird to say that in a match
But it
between
was, yeah,
Roma
it
and
was,
Frosinone.
it
It
was.
is though.
Think about it. This is the first we did not have a sold out stadium tonight. We broke the streak tonight. There was like 61,000, so there was just a little bit left to make the full stadium. But I think has some correlation with with the way this team has been performing, and I think the this it was just, you could be looking at a completely different scenario going forward had you lost this game.
Yes.
I mean,
Oh, I mean, just seeing the smirk of Eusebio Di Francesco would have sent me to an
yeah.
early
Oh
death.
yeah, hell yeah.
I
I
would have
mean, I
been
mean,
finished,
think about that.
finished.
That's why I came out with the wine. Regardless of the result. Like, this team loses, I'm drinking.
Yeah, I mean, it
This
would
team
have
wins,
been that
I'm
smirk
drinking.
of Di Francesco against Cagliari,
No
except like
way,
in
man.
reverse.
No,
He
I
does it
can't have it.
in a positive moment. Oh,
I can't have
it
it.
would
I can't.
it would have
I've,
killed me.
I've I've seen it far too many times on our bench. I can't have him celebrating on the opposing bench, especially for a team like Frosinone. I mean, think about it.
Right,
Eusebio Di Francesco dethroning Jose Mourinho, uh, with a Frosinone side that, yes, has been, I probably exceeded the minimal expectations, but still, I mean, what a way to go out for Mourinho, against the guy who got sacked in 2019. Unbelievable. But thankfully, it's not the case.
right.
Thankfully, we're here, and we can talk about tomorrow without thinking up some terrifying scenario of, I don't know, executives resigning, Mourinho walking
Oh
out,
my gosh,
whatever,
yes.
all these stuff that may have been in the air. I mean, think about the energy at the Olimpico had they lost tonight. Thankfully, it did not happen. We're here. We're talking about a match that wasn't too exciting, that wasn't too
No.
aesthetic pleasing, but I think for the moment we can put those things aside.
Yeah, so that
We
doesn't bother you, right? I mean, I'm
It
mind
doesn't
blown
bother.
that,
It doesn't
there's so
bother me
much,
at this.
focus on it,
No, no,
I
no,
don't
because
understand.
honestly, I had great fun talking with you about the day we won against Empoli, but I think the importance of a game like this goes a long way, and just
Yeah,
in terms of how much there was at stake, and once you realize that heads presumably could have rolled tonight, in if a negative result were to have happened to Roma. um, you immediately look at the scoreline and you realize that you get to breathe, you get to live another
right,
day, you get to think about now going into your Europa League and against Servette. So you think about building a positive streak once again. You have an accessible calendar, use it to your advantage. Tonight wasn't about playing aesthetically pleasing football. I know we've said that many times, but it's something that when you get used to watching Serie A, you realize that there are games where you just have to get that result. We spoke about it the other day. We love when this team can grind out a win when nobody expects them to, and I think in a way we did that today. Obviously, the opponent is nothing to talk about, but to write home about. But I mean, this is the same team that drew against Salernitana, lost against Hellas Verona, lost against Genoa, drew to Torino. I mean, there is no great opponent for this Roma. Everybody's dangerous. So once you realize that, once you go into that, mentality of get a win at all costs. Don't look at the opponent. Don't look at the names. Don't no. Just get the win. Move on. Go home. Um, I'm happy. I'm happy because I don't have to come on here and try to dissect whatever needs to happen next for this Roma
oh,
team to take off, and who's gonna be the interim manager, and what are
oh,
the long term plans, and are we gonna get bought out by Folieri? I mean, all that stuff. um, Thankfully, Roma did not give us this scenario, so this will go
right,
back into the drawer, back into oblivion for the moment, hopefully for a long time, never to be seen again, because I want this team to take this finally as a chance to build a streak. Because how long has it been since we've built a streak? This is the team that won two, that up until today had won two games in 14 matches. I mean,
mhm,
two wins in 14 matches. Think about it. The team that got to the Europa League final had a streak of 2 wins in 14 matches. A team led by Jose Mourinho, with Paulo Dybala, with Lorenzo Pellegrini, with Romelu Lukaku. That team had 2 wins in 14 matches. So I don't care. We can. It can be Frosinone, it can be Pordenone, it can be Spal, it can be Deportivo La Coruña, who are I don't know where they are right now in Spain. I don't care. I don't care. Give me Zhangzhou. Give me whatever other team from coal mining Siberia. I don't care.
It
I'll
didn't
take a
matter.
win.
I
I'll
agree.
take a win. I want to see this team win because they need confidence. There's something that they sorely lack. They lack ideas. It doesn't mean that this win raises everything. This team is far from perfect tonight. I think this was a performance that wasn't, up to the standards of a good, solid home win. I thought this was a team that wrestled with a lot of demons tonight. So whenever we look at something like this, at this performance, we have to take into consideration that there were literally reputations at stake tonight. Like, I
Yeah,
cannot
yeah.
emphasize this enough. There was a lot at stake tonight. You lose a match against Frosinone at home after the results that you've been, slipping out of your hand. You're looking at, honestly, I mean, a lot of compromising scenarios for your short
Right.
term and long term plans.
Yeah, I mean, it would have been a red alert emergency situation. It would have been about as dire of a scenario as you could have ever dreamed up. Again, but the 1st of October. We are used to living this sort of thing in February, March. I mean, but for it to be so chaotic this early, it's just never a good thing. But wins and victories such as tonight's are the only antidote, in my opinion, to all of the chatter, to all of the rumors, innuendo. The only way to quiet those things down is to win, and that's it. So there is no way I can come on here and get fixated on what they did in midfield, what big chances or lack of big chances created. I can't go there. I can't go there because you got the victory, you kept the clean sheet, you won at home, and you brought calm. You brought calm. That in moments like this, sometimes I do wish, as much as I love the city, the environment, I always make fun of Bergamo, but sometimes it's moments, such as the previous 2 days where it would kind of be nice to experience an environment or, support a team with an environment similar to that where they're a bit more balanced. It's never so hot, so cold, so high, so low, just so quickly and so often. But this is a situation they are in, and the only way to bring balance back to the situation is to win and to quiet things down, and that is what they needed, and that is what they did. So again, there's no way I'm going to come on here and complain about this or that. I just can't do it. I will say though, the one thing that I'm going to try to not to cry and go in the corner over there and just put my head down into the fetal position. I am looking right now understat.com for XG, expected goals. Roma 0.83 for their expected goals. Frosinone 0.79. So Roma outperformed the XG, which I feel as if is something you can count on one hand how many times they're able to do that, where they score goals when they shouldn't, and also they don't concede goals, regardless of whether they should or shouldn't. But keeping the clean sheet, that was the other thing too. I was almost, even if it was a shithouse 1-0 with an own goal, I was honestly most concerned about a clean sheet, Andy, because if we look at the things that have went wrong so far in this early part, and we have talked about it, no Smalling. Today we're playing with Cristante in defense alongside a new guy, Indica, Gianluca Mancini, and the guy in between the post who I mean, you just want to talk about the mixed bag. You have zero, zero indications, zero hints, zero clues as to what you are going to get from that guy from one match to the next. I mean, I have used the term before, feast or famine. I mean, Rui Patricio, you are either going to be a gluttonous pig with him, or you are going to starve to death, because that guy just does not believe in balance, moderation. I would probably say that is why, really, up until Pellegrini got the second goal, I don't know about you, but at no point did I ever feel assured that the victory was in hand, that there was a very
Yeah, definitely.
few chance for Frosinone to come back. You compare that to how we felt about the Roma of Jose Mourinho in his first year, and even last season, obviously. You compare it to what the situation is now, and it is so just alarming to be in the situation where, the defense used to be the thing that we could, at the end of the day, if we have any doubts about Roma, it's going to be in midfield. It's going to be, can they find another goal? It was never at the back, never at the back. And, to be in the situation now where I'm holding my breath. I mean, I find myself holding my breath when a shot goes at Rui Patricio. I mean, I'm at the point that I was with Bob and Rosen, my favorite goalkeeper all time of Roma, the guy who would let the ball bounce twice and still go in between his legs. I am fairly certain that
Still
was
had
against
that
Jan.
magnificent performance against Real Madrid that ended in a 3-0 win for them, which is basically, I mean, it just shows it just encapsulates perfectly his time at Roma. Brilliant
Well,
performance, 10 out of 10, still concedes 3 goals.
I am fairly certain it was either Genoa or Chievo. Maybe Chievo was defunct by then. I don't know. He conceded a goal where it bounced and it went in
Genoa,
between his legs. It was
Genoa.
Genoa. Okay, I will never forget his. I mean, he. I don't know if you ever saw the guy in person. He is huge. I mean, he
Yeah,
he
he's like
he, he has
he's
me,
2 meters. Yeah,
but
he's 2 meters and 5 centimeters, something.
yeah, I mean, just a massive,
Yeah,
massive guy. And to see him crawling on his hands and knees after the ball goes in between his legs, trying to smack it back out from the goal, was one of the most harrowing scenes I've ever seen in my footballing life. Just as a spectator in media, just having seen a grown man that big let in a goal that you would not expect your, the U9 side to concede was just one of the most alarming feelings.
well, and Rui
But
is that tall, but he moves like he moves like the Tom Hanks in Sully. He's
is
just
that what it is for you for him? Because I don't know if it's his lack of movement or just his. I would probably
I
blame it
don't
on
know. I don't.
indecisiveness.
I don't
He
know.
just
I don't know
puts
if
goals.
even if
Oh,
if
oh,
it's him, if it's a deeper problem. I mean, that's we drove ourselves in a situation where not conceding a goal against Frosinone is considered as a bigger victory than the victory itself. I mean,
yeah,
had
but
we drawn this 0-0, we probably would have made it a big deal. Just as I mean, just as well as this, the fact
yeah,
that
no,
we did
I
not
agree.
concede.
I just want to say though, because I know um, people are probably going to say we are making way too much of a fuss about Roma defeating a team that was in Serie B last season. But if you and I think it is almost intellectually dishonest to sit here and say, okay, well, if they didn't win, it would have been pure and utter chaos. Cha- chaos in the streets. It's an emergency situation. It is all hands on deck. It's season over. It feels as if it is almost a complete and total annihilation of your season. If that's what we were saying coming into that, if they win, we can't just dismiss it, because if the opposite were to happen, if and it were to be so bad, well, if they managed to pull out the victory and stave off that from happening, we can't just dismiss this. Now, I know it's Frosinone. I know that. Uh, Roma should be expected, Andy, to win this match 10 times out of 10. But this is Roma. And there are so many times, whether it be this season or 10 seasons ago, where if we go by times they should have beaten a team 10 times out of 10. Do we want to count on, I mean, how many examples do you need to find where it has happened, where a match like this, they drop it, they lose, and it does turn into emergency situation. Manager has to go, sporting director has to go. It turns into full out, just chaos, and it seems like everything is lost. And I was not mentally, emotionally prepared to go through that. Okay, the 1st of October. I just the thought of having to do that, you and I having to come on here, and me having to, be engaged, and you
I
having
think
to
we
do a live stream and look excited and say, okay,
I
what do
think
we get?
we'd realistically ponder suspension of the podcast for an
There's
indefinite
no,
period of time.
I would. I told you, and I will tell people this again. The second I leave the football media landscape, football media world, you will not hear from me at all in relation to football. I
Which
will
is gonna
have
be when, John? When when is that gonna happen?
no comment. But in all seriousness, like, you will find me on YouTube doing some form of a crime, a true crime podcast, conspiracy theory podcast. You
Wow.
will not hear from me. You will
Okay.
not. I'm telling you, I will fall off the face of the earth. At least in regards to football, I could not. I don't think people. Well, let me rephrase. There are some people who I think cannot appreciate just how much it means not only to win, Andy, but just to stave that off. I hate to just belabor this point. I really do, but there is nothing more defeating than when you and I are coming on here and we're talking about the new manager, we're talking about the new sporting director, and it's the 1st of October. I couldn't do it. I couldn't do it. I couldn't do it where everybody is outside of Trigoria and we're watching the manager clean out his office and we're watching everybody pull out and then everybody has to go up to each and every car for
We
each
did
and
it. We
every
did it too
player.
many times. I mean, we did it too many times.
Can't do it. Can't do
We
it.
did
Can't.
Di Francesco being sacked. We did Monchi walking away. We did Guido Fienga uh, and Francesco Totti having a
Oh,
discussion over whether they're gonna get Antonio Conte. We got Petracchi. We
yes.
got Paulo Fonseca. We got again rumors of Conte, and then we got Fonseca walking away, and then we had rumors of Maurizio Sarri, and then finally Mourinho, and then finally that's why I always say I want continuity, and that's why I have people
Yes.
when they join me for the live stream on YouTube, they're like, why can't you and John be more critical of Mourinho? This thing hasn't been working.
Yeah, I got said that I kiss his ass too much. I mean,
And
what? Have
I
you seen the
always say
managers they've had here previously? You think I'm going to be mad at this guy? Give him less
I
leeway
want
than Eusebio Di Francesco? Be serious. Come on.
I always say that I'm all for criticizing, but I'm also somebody that is starving for a sense of continuity within a club that has faced anything but continuity in recent years. Leading up to
Yes.
the Friedkins, there was no continuity to anything.
Right.
Probably since
Right.
early Garcia, there was not
Oh
a
my
single
gosh.
moment where you just felt comfortable with where the club was going in terms of choices, decisions. And here, for the first time with Mourinho, we had some consistent decision making.
Yes.
The club sticking with Mourinho, like it or not, is a way of being consistent. And you can criticize that, obviously, but for me, it's important to at least have the sense that somebody is in charge. Some like this.
Yes.
The ship is not lost at sea, despite the situation, despite the fact that Roma's start to the season is horrendous. It's gonna be on Mourinho's resume for the rest of his life. The fact that he started off really bad for a manager of his caliber to have 5 points in 6 games up until tonight is awful, given
Yes.
especially the calendar that he's had at his disposal, with the exception of Milan. And tonight, obviously, on its own, doesn't change anything. It just, once again, it allows us to breathe. It gives us breathing room. We don't have to worry. We don't have to cry. We don't have to come on here and be depressed, which I think we do enough of. And sometimes you and I, we just connect and we get right into it, because it's just it's too. I mean, to think about it too long would take away from the podcast, but also would just uh, unnecessarily bother us, while we go to sleep, and then you can't fall asleep at 2 in the morning because you're thinking about Rasmus Christensen not tracking back, or Leandro
Right.
Paredes misplacing a pass, and so for me, the thing about this is, it's not perfect by any means. I absolutely understand criticisms. I understand people saying, "Well, this player did bad, this player did that," and obviously the tactics still haven't seen much. But at least cling on to the small, tiny ray of light at the end of this long and twisted tunnel, because it's Roma. It's not guaranteed, and you're never
Right.
guaranteed, to see the light of day. You're not, you have these
Right.
games, and then all hell breaks loose, and then all of a sudden you hear stories of Roma owners locked in the stadiums as fans swarm around Trigoria, and the players afraid of. I mean, I've seen so many things, heard so many things with this team. It just, with confrontation between fans and players, and fans and manager, and fans and owners, and this and that, and the apology, and promises made, and then the sack, and then the resignation, and then this and then that, and then all of a sudden we're still back to square one. So if I can at least here sip my wine, think about what tomorrow will bring as a Roma fan, in all peace and quiet, and I can have a normal, semi-normal live stream with the viewers and some of our good patrons, then I'm happy. I'll take it. Just give me breathing room, and I feel like tonight, against an acceptable opponent at this moment in time. I'm not saying that Frosinone is should be considered a rival. But at this point in time, it was a good test. Once again, it was a good chance to prove to yourself that you're not, hopeless. Then I'll take it. I'll take it. Give me anything. I'll take anything. I'll have anything. So I want that. I want this going forward. I want a Europa League match without any surprises. I want a Europa League match that's straightforward, that entails Roma getting all 3 points, that entails us going home, thinking about Cagliari, and then fucking off and going into an
Mm.
international break relaxed, not being butthurt over what other people are saying, over what the media are saying. Just relax, relax.
Yeah.
Think about good things, and good things about football, and not. I see. I mean, we have people. One of our former patrons in the group chat, HH, he had to multiple times tell me that he's not going to tune into our Roma Press live stream post match reactions because he was too depressed, and that he has to distance himself from anything Roma related. I mean, think about it, So if at least I and people like HH and some other people that can at least look at this team and think about a better tomorrow, a tomorrow that doesn't entail tears and anger management classes, uh then just give me. That's it. That's
Yeah.
all I got, man. That's all I
No,
got.
I listen, I understand. I can understand, particularly if you have not been following this club for a particularly long or extended period of time, where you're going to, oh, Roma started out poorly, get rid of the manager, change this, change that, no sporting director, no everything, blow it all up. For me, because I was a bit okay. Admittedly, I really like Jose Mourinho, and the reason why I'm willing to give him far more leeway than Eusebio Di Francesco, I think is obvious. Yeah, he won a trophy at Roma already. He has Roma, at least up until this season, playing very effective, defensively astute football. So I just don't agree with this thing where the second we encounter hardship, or Roma don't get the results that they should, or what the supporters expect, that we have to change everything. We have to blow it up. I mean, for me, I think you put it perfectly. Continuity is the thing I crave. Just because I'm willing to give Jose Mourinho probably more leeway than I would be willing to give, again, Eusebio Di Francesco, besides the fact that it should be obvious as to why that would be, is I I, I crave continuity in the managerial position, in the sporting director position, at the presidential level. In all aspects, I want the club to find some balance, some continuity, some consistency in its structure, and build something. Because the thing that has always bothered me with Roma, how many times do we hear the word? I think I said this in the previous episode, but how many times do we hear the word project
and,
for
and
so
usually
many
and usually
seasons?
it doesn't mean, usually when it's said in a half-assed manner. It's not even, they say,
Always said in a half-assed manner.
we
No,
heard we
they
heard
never stick with
project
anything.
with Petracchi, and Petracchi left after 1 year. So
Correct, correct. Project, at least when it comes from the mouths of some of the previous regime at Roma, it's meant, it was their way of saying, "Hey, we're not going to get great results." It was almost like a forewarning, and you couldn't complain if they didn't win, because this is a project. See, a project, mind you. In their mind, project was blowing it all up after one season when things did not go according to plan. So when I hear this word project, I go mad, because nobody ever means it. Nobody ever means the word project, because if you were to ask somebody, "Are you in for a project?" Okay, 2, 3, 4 seasons of maybe some bumps along the way, but showing some growth signs. No, nobody wants that. No, nobody does, because we are all impatient. I'm impatient. You're impatient. Every supporter, everybody who watches football or
absolutely,
any sport in general is impatient.
absolutely.
We want it now. So it's just how humans are. It's a human tendency. So nobody is unique in being impatient. So when I say I want consistency, it's because I don't want to blow things up for the sake of it, just to have to build new
No,
foundations, get new
exactly,
players.
exactly. Yeah,
So
exactly. It's not. It's not.
yeah, do
It's
I
not.
kiss Jose Mourinho's ass? Yeah, 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 yeah.
It's
I do,
not.
I do,
It's not a
because he's
way
won.
to.
He's a great manager. He's the best manager that Roma have had at this club since Fabio Capello.
Somebody is gonna cut that clip and make you look like a fool, John.
No, I know. Yeah, no, no, no. Now, mind you, that I got it. I should do that thing when you when you try to like download clips. They say like voice over it, like the owner
Yes.
of the music or the clip. I am going to do that. Sent on 1 October 2023, just because yes, I will look absurd, but I do I kiss his backside? Yes, but I do so because I want consistency. That is it. And I
Oh
think
my god.
if you were ever going to give any manager, okay, benefit of the doubt, if you can't give it to this guy at Roma, then you are never going to give it to anybody. Yeah,
Oh
you're
god.
never going to give it to anyone, right?
I mean, yeah, but you just put me in front of a firing squad ahead of tomorrow's
No,
post-match live stream. I'm gonna have people saying that we're on Mourinho's payroll. I don't.
no,
I am fully with you. For me, there always comes obviously a point where if the team is not performing, and there always comes a point where I've
right,
said it, I've explained it to people on the live stream. I've said it on this podcast many times. I have no issues calling out when something is over, when you feel that it's
yes,
over. There is no, like with Di Francesco. I defended Di Francesco till the very last day, till the once that Fiorentina loss
That was
took
it. Yeah,
place.
it
That
does.
was
It
it.
doesn't take a psychiatrist to notice it. You do.
No,
You just have
it
to
was it,
have a working
and
pair of eyes.
that was it.
I mean,
And that's when you have to go and say it's over. It's done. There's nothing
yeah,
more. And I defended Fonseca until the very end, because with Fonseca I don't think we ever had that moment where it all broke loose. I think with Fonseca there were so many ups and downs that we just took it day by day. Uh, Here with Mourinho, I just saw too much from this team in over 2 years with
completely
him
agree with you.
to just be like, okay, just wipe the slate clean and move on.
Right,
You can't.
right.
It'd be like Atalanta moving on from Gasperini, which they refuse to
Oh,
do time and time again.
I thought
Every
you were going to
summer,
say
it
somebody
looks
else.
like they're gonna walk out on each other, and then they come to the conclusion that they need each other. I'm not saying that that is the path that Roma are on, because I totally agree. I think it makes sense to make the next step with somebody else. Mourinho, he fulfills his 3 year obligation, his 3 year promise to Roma, and then obviously the two parties mutually decide to part ways, and great, great fairy tale ending. But what to me matters most, even in these moments, is to see at least some kind of reaction. If tonight, I'm saying why tonight was so important against Frosinone. If the reaction wouldn't have happened tonight, if tonight would have gone any other way, with a loss, with a draw, uh, maybe I would have reconsidered this.
Mm,
But it all depends on what the players show. And so far, the players have always shown. That's why the Genoa defeat was so, disheartening, disappointing, just deflating, was because I didn't get a sense that the players cared. I didn't get a sense that anybody cared. I didn't get a sense that anybody noticed that something was wrong on the pitch. Whereas today, there was a clear intention of, we messed up. We're gonna get into it one way or another. It's not gonna be pretty. It's not gonna be perfect. But we're gonna get into it, and we'll try and deliver something. And thankfully they did, because at least, again, as I say, the schedule is accessible. So you're looking now at Servette on a midweek Europa League fixture, and then you're looking at Cagliari on the weekend, and then you go into once again another international break. So get two positive results in these two games, totally attainable, and you may be looking at uh, a new, a new Roma, a new. I don't know. I don't even know how to say it. I mean, just looking from a different, point of view at this season, at our position in the standings. Who knows what happens? But if you just take it game by game, which they always say, this is another one of those things that the players, Mourinho, always say, we take it one game at a time, one step at a time, and then they never do. And then they crumble under pressure. And then the pressure of the one match really influences them, or they look beyond that game, they underestimate their opponent, and they crumble. No, this really has to happen in order to build a streak. You always, just like Napoli did last year, where they just were unbelievable. But why? Because they treated every game with equal importance. They paid equal importance to every game. Roma, a team that is not a Scudetto contender, a team that must get back into the fight for Champions League football, they are obligated to consider every game just as important. So Servette becomes just as important as a derby win right now. A win against Servette puts you at 6 points in the Europa League table, clear favorite to finish first. You go home, you relax, you prepare for Cagliari. End of discussion. End of this
yeah.
podcast episode. End of everything. And we can go home. We can drink all the wine we can want. We go to sleep, and we have pleasant dreams, because Roma, at the end of the day, delivered a win. That's all that matters.
I think it really is that simple. It was straightforward. It was a victory. There's no reason to dwell too much or too little on this, but at the end of the day, they got the victory. Again, I'm going to repeat myself. I'm going to do that thing where I say the same saying like I do the points you drop earlier, the ones you regret the most later in the season. Winning is the thing that just it cures all of this crap. I mean, look at Napoli. A week ago, we're talking about TikTok memes, Agent
Absolutely,
Garcia, yeah,
absolutely.
Agent Garcia
And then
being
boom, boom, they go score 4 goals against Udinese, 4 more goals against. Boom, they go on.
yeah,
They
yeah.
feel good.
It's done now. Nobody is talking about Osimhen. Is he going to go now? Are they going to cancel his contract? Is
Nobody
he going to
cares.
leave
Again,
free?
it's about the narrative, John. It's always about the narrative. It's about the
Correct.
moment. So tomorrow you will not see the headlines that were probably already being typed up
Yes, Corriere dello
during the
Sport. I
match.
mean,
It
I
always
could
happens,
hear him. Yes,
always happens. They have those two versions ready. So thankfully we gave them we gave them a reason to alter the headlines for tomorrow. But the only way to keep them away from going the other route and choosing, those apocalyptic uh, headlines that
yeah,
always come about whenever you get a negative result, is to build one game at a time. That's
yes,
it. That's it. I'm not asking for beautiful football. I'm not asking for a trophy delivered within the next 2 weeks. I'm not asking for Roma to be up there with Inter and Milan. I'm asking for Roma to beat Servette first, and then beat Cagliari, and then go into an international break all nice and happy. That's it.
100%. Let's just leave it there. Nice and happy. Those are the words that we will have repeating in our heads. So we will chat with you later in the week. Until next time, ciao.
Ciao.